Hello everyone, it's Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, I am an intuitive, I'm a mentor, and I'm also a writer. Today I'm coming in with a special message for you. I've got my cards with me. I felt called to come on here and talk about the biggest stumbling block that I see in my work. So before I do that, let's just pull a card to set the mood. How are you today? Are you all right? We're going to start off today with believe in your own magic. That might have something to do with the message. Let's see what comes through. What do we need to hear today? Oh, they keep on like trying to give me one and then it pops back in the pack. So I'm like, no, it's not that one. I'm going to take this one. Yeah, this is the right one. Sundress. It says, do it for you. That is exactly the message that I wanted to come on here and share with you today. And on the bottom of the deck, we've got release Clover, release your guilt, let your guilt go. So this week I have been writing on my Substack about family estrangement, and I have created a series of posts which I think those of you that are estranged or maybe considering going no contact or a low contact with your family, or maybe you've cut off with them or they've cut you off, which can happen unfortunately. I've written a series of posts. So the first post I've written is a poem called Banished, which came through one day when I was journaling. And I'm just going to put my glasses on. That's better. And yeah, I started off with the poem called Banished. And then I started to write about, you know, how estrangement happens and how this isn't an epidemic of estrangement we're seeing on the internet. You know, it's not a TikTok trend. It's because we have so much information available to us about dysfunctional families and about generational trauma and how those patterns get repeated continually. And I wanted to share some of my experience and my knowledge, because obviously I've done a lot of reading around it, but also I've been in therapy for 20 years now. I first arrived at therapy when I was 30. And so I'm sort of walking through my experience of arriving at therapy and never having any intention of cutting off my family, just desperate to heal, in a lot of pain, in a lot of have a lot of mental anguish, a lot of emotional pain, and really, you know, not understanding what's going on for me. And then I moved through to talking about how that therapy helped me find boundaries and helped me develop my sense of self. But there was a period in my healing where I got very stuck on the other people. And so that's what Do It For You is about, really. So before I got into this gig that I'm doing now, which is coaching people who are recovering from dysfunctional families, really, I help people improve their self-care, and I help people define what their boundaries are and get a stronger sense of self. Because when people come to me, they're coming to me because there's a person in their life that is problematic for them. Now, in my former life as a child coach, people were coming to me because their child was the problem. Obviously, children are not problematic at all. Their behaviour is triggering off something in the adults around them. And as we all know, you can't change other people. You can only change the way you are, the way you respond to them, and the way you are around them. I'm going to say that again. You cannot change other people. You can only change the way you feel, the way that you respond, the way that you think, the way that you perceive the situation. And you can only set boundaries and take care of yourself. And there was a period in my healing where I really wanted to fix my mum. This was before the estrangement. And when I say fix her, I was waiting for her to change. I was always hopeful, or my inner child was always hopeful, that she would respond differently to me. There was no responding going on. It was all reacting, because she was very entrenched in her own unhealed trauma, and probably not even aware that she was, which is really sad. But in healing, we get stuck getting fixated, like, I need my partner to change. I'll get my partner to go to therapy. He's the one that needs therapy. No, stop. Ask yourself, this is a brutal truth. Why am I with someone that I want to fix? Why am I with someone that I'm trying to fix? I mean, it's likely that you're with someone who's showing up as one of your parents, because that's what happens. And the inner child is trying to change the way that story ends. So then you go to work on other people. So there was a period of time where I held out so much hope for my mum and some of my siblings that maybe they would change. Maybe if I explained it this way, or maybe if I drew a diagram, or maybe if I stood on my head or danced around the garden naked, they'd finally listen and get it. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you, and because of people's own blocks and trauma, and denial really is what it is, they're never going to hear you. And that is painful, because all the time we're trying harder to get people to see us. Well, what I feel is, I feel like I wasted time. I feel like I could have saved myself a lot of time by not doing that. But this was a pattern that I was stuck in. It's like a toxic dance that I was stuck in with my family, where I was the one that had to try harder. I was the one that had to make it better. It was on me to fix it. So this is very common if you're what we call the parentified child. The parentified child is the one, so the roles are reversed. You're the adult and your parent is the child. They're sulky, they give you the silent treatment, they have tantrums, they don't listen to you, they want you to obey them, there's no empathy, but also there's no boundaries. So you're very enmeshed with them, and you don't really have a strong enough sense of self to know who you are and what you want and what feels right for you. So where I see people getting stuck is they get fixated on fixing other people, but then they also get stuck on educating themselves. So if you find yourself asking the question, oh, are they a narcissist, or are they a borderline, or am I enmeshed, or am I parentified, or have I got CPTSD, or have I got general anxiety disorder, or have I got, we're all looking for labels, because what we're trying to do is our brain is trying to close the loop inside our head and make sense of something which actually makes no sense at all, because it's deeply, deeply painful. And whilst we go about this mission to make sense of it, i.e. to go to work on someone else and fix them, or diagnose someone else, what we're doing is we're avoiding the pain that lives inside of us. And it is a mountain of grief, unfortunately, and anger and hurt and sadness and despair, which is the opposite of hope, isn't it? And we're protecting ourselves from that. So it's interesting that the card on the back is releasing your guilt. There is a lot of guilt that comes up when you decide to distance yourself from your family of origin, or indeed cut off from them. There's also a lot of shame, and there's also incredible amounts of fear, because you then realise that you are walking this path alone. So today's message is quite heavy, and we're going to pull some cards in a minute to see if we can help you. But I think what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't matter if that person's a narcissist. It doesn't matter if they've got borderline personality disorder. It doesn't matter. Do they treat you disgustingly? And do they make you feel like you're not important, you're invisible, and you don't matter? There's your answer. Then the question is, what am I doing hanging around with somebody who treats me like that? Because what you will allow will continue. Now, I don't say that with my waggy finger out, because I'm saying to you, don't make the same mistake I did. I did it for years. I was doing work on myself at the same time, but it was the inner child in me that couldn't let go of my parents, that was still holding on to that hope. It was the inner child. And you might be in the same position, so I understand if you are. Cheers. Happy Friday. This is ginger beer, by the way. It's not alcoholic. Don't drink. Haven't drunk for a long time. yeah, so let's pull some more cards on this. Do it for you. Let's just sit with this a minute. If you notice, she's actually in the snow. So she's actually in a really cold space. There's no warmth there. There's no love. And she's wearing a sundress. There's no protection. She's not protected. She doesn't have any boundaries. There's no protection. There's no warmth there. You know, part of our dad's job is to protect the families, to protect us, is to show us that we're worth protecting. And part of our mum's job is to be warm and nurturing. And, you know, maybe your mum was kind and nurturing sometimes, but then other times she grew another head and turned into a monster. And I think also that makes it really hard for the inner child to reconcile and go, oh, well, I can't leave because actually she's not horrible all the time, and maybe I'm a horrible person. And then you go into that spiraling of shame and blaming yourself, which is what you did as a child to survive. So this environment that you're in is cold. It's not warm. It's not nurturing. And you are not equipped to live in this environment anymore. You survived it as a child. But now as an adult, there's other things that you must do. So let's pull some cards and see what wants to come up. How are we feeling after the Lionsgate energy yesterday? The 8th of August was Lionsgate. And that is a very strong magical portal for manifesting your desires. So last night I sat down with my journal and wrote down the life that I am manifesting into existence. And if you'd like to have a go at that, I have a journal called This Is My Life. And that is a journal that walks you through a process for leaving your old life, leaving the cold, snowy, desolate landscape, and moving forward into the bright sunshine, the warmth, the joy, the happiness, the place where all your dreams live. So let's pull some tarot cards. We're going to go in with the tarot, the Cozy Witch Tarot deck. And then I'm going to pull some self-care cards for us to see what we need. But yeah, if you fancy joining me over on Substack, I do send out a free newsletter on Substack. And then the stuff that's a bit more vulnerable, I put behind a paywall. It's currently £6 a month to subscribe, and there's also an option to subscribe for a year for £60, so you save a bit of money there. And there's also an option to become a founding member where you can have a session with me. Right, so what do we need to know about our own healing journey? So it's time now. We're going to draw a line under obsessing and fixating on the other people and trying to control them and what they're doing and worrying about what they're doing. A good question to ask yourself is, how much time do I spend thinking about other people, and how much time do I spend focusing on myself? Because it's time to focus on you now, and that isn't selfish. That's what you've been needing to do for a long time, because no one has been focusing on you. And maybe you feel exhausted, and maybe you feel unseen and unheard, and maybe you feel invisible. What do we need to know, Spirit? I've got goosebumps doing this. Woo! Here we go. That one's shot out. Oh, we've got the Three of Wands. So we've got this young girl, and she's clutching a letter towards her chest. There's a dog at her feet. The Three of Wands says, put yourself out there and you'll be rewarded one way or another. Yeah. Now what I'm feeling here is a letter. So lots of people, when they go no contact or they think about estrangement, they write a letter to their parents. I wouldn't write a letter to your parents. I would write a non-send letter. So in therapeutic terms, a non-send letter is where you just spill your guts out onto the page, and your anguish and your hurt and your anger, and then you set fire to it. You don't actually send it to the parent. The reason why I advise against doing that is because I wrote a letter, a couple of letters actually, to my mother, and that made my life so much worse, because it wasn't about the fact that I was hurt and I was asking to be treated differently. How dare you? How dare you? How cruel you are after all I've done for you. So it was all twisted around. I was the villain. it was terrible of me to speak up for myself, have a voice, put my foot down, set my boundaries and say, I don't want to be spoken to like that. So I think Spirit's giving us the nudge today to say, if you're going to write a letter, I'd write a non-send one. I mean, I'd keep communication to a minimum and I'd space out the communication. So start to take yourself away and leave spaces in between. Don't treat every message as urgent, because those people, they're high maintenance. They expect a reply like yesterday and they send you about 4 messages in a row if you don't reply. Don't get pulled into their drama, into their urgency. You stay with yourself. Look, she's holding those thoughts and feelings close to her chest. You stay with yourself. And hopefully you'll have a little companion or someone that you can walk this path with. I mean, that's why I help people. At the moment, I'm working with a couple of people actually who are going through similar, and they're on my Pocket Coach program. And so we just backwards and forwards on the text, and I'm there to, give advice, support them, sometimes share my experiences, because I think what really helps is, and that you wouldn't get from a therapist, is someone who's walked the path, who knows, they're walking a few steps ahead of you. They know what's coming next. And let me tell you, they all go to the same school of evil. So it's pretty textbook how it plays out, which is why I wanted to write the articles for Substack and say to people, this is what happens. And depending on how many articles I end up writing, I'm probably going to write one a month or a couple a month. That may be turned into an ebook, because I feel it's something that people ask about a lot and it's something people need. So that's in terms of estrangement. But maybe if you're thinking of leaving a partner, it's Dear John, isn't it? When we write a Dear John letter to someone to say goodbye. And so I think it's about, look how she's kind of standing there. It sort of feels like ceremonial, with all the candles. It's like she's saying, I do declare this day, the day that I put myself first. So maybe you want to write that down in your journal, that you take. There's a story, I can't remember where I heard it, about a lady that married herself. I mean, some might think that's quite narcissistic. I don't. I think it's like saying, I'm making a commitment to myself. I'm staying loyal to myself. Why would you stay loyal to these people that treat you so badly? Why is your loyalty lying with them? It's misguided loyalty. Your loyalty should be with yourself first. Right, let's pull another card and see what goes with the 3 of Wands. Just seeing if there's anything else on there that needs to come through. I'm just noticing the gate as well. So maybe this is the home and you've left home and you've shut the gate, because she's outside of the home. She's not in the garden. This is standing outside, I feel. What do you see when you look at that? So always when reading the cards, I just like to look at the pictures and the words and the numbers. So that's a 3 of Wands. 3 is the number of expansion, of creativity. Yes. And see what the cards say to you. Because remember, this is a general reading, so you take what resonates and leave the rest. But I don't really like other tarot readers. I don't protect the future. I just story tell, and I'm guided to give messages through the cards. And this is what wanted to come through today. I'm really hot. It's very hot today. But as I'm doing this, I'm getting complete shivers down my spine. Woohoo! Okay, here we go. Okay, so some of you, I've got splinters in your ass and you're sitting on the fence. And I say that as a joke. I know it's so difficult. I mean, we're biologically wired to be connected to the people that made us. So this is not an easy decision to make. And I definitely don't think we should be making this decision based on a YouTube video on the internet. But I wanted to give you some insights and some, I don't know, some guidance. And hopefully I'll be saying something out there for someone that needs to hear it today, because I felt called to come on here and make the video. This person is holding the light. They know that they're worthy. There's part of them that knows that they're worthy, and part of them knows that they can't stay, but they are on the fence. The minute you make that decision is the minute you set yourself free, is what I want to say. And then that's when the real healing can begin, because I don't really feel like you can heal in the place that made you sick. I'm not saying leave, but I'm saying you must have some space between them and you in order for you to find yourself. You see, what happens with functional families, healthy families, is when you're, I don't know, late teens, going off to uni, there's a period in your life where you individuate, you separate out from your family, and that's healthy. You're meant to do that. You're meant to probably rebel a bit against your parents, you know, find your edges, push back a bit, but go off and separate yourself out. But in dysfunctional families, they are enmeshed. There are no boundaries. So enmeshed is like this. Everyone's just operating as one big clump. And the minute you try and separate yourself out and become your own person, you're a threat to the system. They're like, no, get back in here. You need to be the person that we say you are and the role that we've put you in. And I'm sure you all know about those dysfunctional roles. The golden child, the scapegoat, the hero, the mascot, the one that makes everyone laugh and is a distraction. So they're like, no, get back in here. This is the role that we've put you in. And you're going, cards alive. You're saying, no, I want to leave. But you're half dangling out the window because you're going, oh, they're not bad all the time. And is it really that bad? And is it me? And perhaps I am difficult. And perhaps, you know, no, you're not. So I think you need some quiet time to like tune into your own light and think about what you want. Think about what's right for you. There were many times where I sat in this position, and I also went back and forward quite a few times before I finally broke away. And actually, I didn't do the breaking away, as you'll see when you read my Substack. I'm not going to talk about that on here because it's too private, but I was in this position for a long time. And one thing that really helped me finally jump out the window and land on a nice soft mattress, by the way, and be safe. And I was fine. I'm not saying throw yourself out the window. But one thing that really helped me was to become an observer of their behaviour. So whenever I had interactions with them, it's like I'd ring-fenced my heart, and I would notice how they would behave, and I wrote it all down in a diary, and it's in that cupboard over there. And whenever I feel myself being pulled back or thinking, oh, is it me? Is it me? Because it's the inner child that will always have that hope. Will always want her mummy and daddy. Then you can read those events and those things that were said to you, and but when you are one step removed as an observer, you're seeing things differently. You're like, oh God, I can see it now. God, it's really toxic. Oh God, you're doing that again. And when you don't behave in ways that they have conditioned you and triggered you to behave, you watch how they watch how they respond to that. They'll be like, I said that. I said that. I said that. Did you hear what I said? I said that. Did you see what she just said? Did you hear what she just... And you're just like, yeah, I did. And you don't react. And they will up the ante and poke and poke and poke because they need to get a reaction out of you. Because then when you kick off, they can go, oh, see, you're like that. You're the crazy one. Let me tell you, you're not the crazy one. You are not the crazy one. Okay, what else we've got here is the Six of Swords. There you go. She's packed her bags. She's finally done it. She's packed her bags. Six of Swords, all aboard, witch. It's time to write a new chapter. Now, remember, I'm not telling you what to do because I cannot make that decision for you. I don't know you. I don't know who's watching. I don't know your situation. I don't know your family. I will say if you're in danger and you do need to pack your bags and leave, because no one has to stick around to be, an emotional or physical punch bag for someone. No. But I don't know your situation. But there is a whole new chapter out there waiting for you if you want it, if you decide that that's the right thing for you. It's time to write a new chapter. Again, this is my journal. I'm going to put a link in for my journal below. It's called This Is My Life. It is about writing your new life into existence because it's really, really hard to start off that new life, because you start it all and you're all enthusiastic and positive, but these kind of like, it's almost like a hypnotic pull from the past that keeps pulling you back. And they will try and pull you back with drama, with flying monkeys, with all their nonsense. And you have to kind of put some distance between you. I mean, there's a sea, there's an ocean here. But, you know, I do think, for me, it had to be physical distance, because I was so emotionally entangled with them. And even when I physically had distance from them, I was still ruminating and very emotionally entangled in all of that stuff. But you see, it's all entangled inside of you. And that's why, you know, therapy is good, or working with someone like me is good, because you can pull it out and start to untangle it and make sense of it. Okay, last one. If you're doubting yourself, if you're thinking, oh, I can't make it without them, that might be something that they've told you. It's not always a direct, it's not always something they'll say directly to you. They won't say to you, you'll be nothing without me, or they might do if they're very abusive. But there might be beliefs there where you've been conditioned to a place of learned helplessness, where you feel like you can't do things for yourself. And obviously when you go to therapy, you start to realise that you can perfectly well. But you carry beliefs. And the thing is that when we have these beliefs about ourselves, we operate from these beliefs. And when they're in our unconscious mind, we don't know we're there. And it is like we're in a hypnotic state, you know, like a walking zombie. Whereas when you start to bring them up into your conscious mind, so I teach that through my journaling programs, then you start to realise, oh God, what am I thinking? I'll be nothing without them. Of course I'll be fine without them. I'll be absolutely fine. It's the inner child that will believe that, but the adult you will go, yeah, I'm fine on my own. I can do adulting. Yeah, it's not great. It's hard. I can pay my bills. I can go to work. I can do a job. But the inner child will be like, oh, I just got that caught in my throat. Hold on. The inner child will be thinking, oh, I can't. Or the inner child might feel disloyal. And then that's where the guilt comes in from this card. The inner child might feel guilty for having a good life without them, leaving them behind. But you see, this happens a lot in healing. Like, we have to let go of a lot of people. We have to let go of friends. We have to let go of... When we start to become healthier, we realise that we've been behaving in toxic ways because we were conditioned to do that and we didn't know any different. So we're not going to blame ourselves or beat ourselves up for that. But the minute you realise that you're doing that, then it's on you to change it. But when you get healthier, I found this, you cannot tolerate being around people like that. Not just because they trigger you, but just because, like, I used to come away from being around people like that and I just would feel so tired. I'd have a headache and I'd think, oh, glad I don't have to see them for a while. And you sort of, you're going out of obligation, or you tell yourself, oh, I've been friends with this person since I was at school, so I've got to see them. But then you start to notice that they're behaving in ways that don't align with who you are anymore. So the last card is the Magician. I love this card. The Magician says that you have everything inside of you to be able to heal. You have everything you need to do anything you want. Yeah, you're free. Break all the rules. Make your own rules. That's what we talk about in the journal, This Is My Life. You break the family rules, and I've put lists of really common ones that you find in families. And then I invite you to write your own rules. So what have we got here? We've got, in the tarot, we have cups, pentacles, swords and wands. And we have all of those on the tray here. So it's like you have everything you need to make a success of your life and to heal and to be a happy, healthy person. You absolutely do. Isn't that lovely? Okay, let's just pull a self-care card. Let's just hone in on an area that would help you today, so you can take something away that will help you. I am using the lovely Self-Care Wisdom cards by Cheryl Richardson. These are my faves at the moment. I love the artwork. Look at that. Staring up at the stars. Now, I was lucky enough on my journey that I had a very good friend who was also a healer. And I met when I first started up my kids coaching company. And she has been my rock throughout this whole process. So I have been estranged from my family for over 10 years now. And actually, there's another video on this channel. I'll try and link to it on here if I remember when I upload it, about a bit more about my estrangement. But for so long I haven't written about it because it's such a personal story. And also I'm very mindful of the fact that parts of my story are also someone else's story, and I don't want to be gossiping or telling someone else's story. That's not for me to tell. So I can only really tell it from my perspective of what my experience was. Also, you know, I've been grieving for a family. They're all still alive. So that's a very complex grief, and it's difficult. And also I'm still not that very far away from where my family of origin live. So there is a chance that I might bump into them. And I've talked about actually bumping into my dad on my podcast. If you listen to my podcast, the Wildheart Diaries, you'll hear that. Right. But I feel like I'm out the other side of it now. I feel like it's almost like you go into cocoon. I know that's a metaphor that everyone uses, but you are like a caterpillar. You go into a cocoon. I was in my cocoon for 10 years. So if you're still in your cocoon phase and you need to be on your own and you are still processing stuff, I mean, think about it. For 40 years, I was in that toxic matrix, right? So if for just 10 years of my life, I need to take stock and be with myself, in comparison to the 40, that's pretty good going considering. But I've had a lot of therapy on and off for 20 years. I don't go every week because budget doesn't allow it. And I've done loads of courses and I've read loads of books and I've tried all sorts of healing modalities. Again, you can hear about those on my podcast. I try and create things now that will help people to heal, because I think if you're in therapy and you're in touch with your family, because you can be, because they're not dangerous, because they are just a little bit unaware, shall we say, then, you know, you can still have support. But I think if you can't be in touch with your family because, you know, they're in denial and they're dishonest and they hurt you and they lie on you behind your back, or they use you for things, maybe they use you financially for money or whatever they do. I don't know what they do, but you do need to create that space. They say, don't they, that however far away someone lives from their family is how severe their trauma is. So like if you've moved to Australia, people from the UK watching this video, it's pretty bad. Right, how can these good people focus on themselves now and take care of themselves? Don't obsess about what your family is doing. Honestly, they're probably not going to change. Not right now. So your best thing you can do is take good care of you. And let go of the hope that they might. I mean, you have to take people at face value. You have to say, this is how you're showing up today, so I've got to take you like this. You can't be hopeful and love them for their potential. Like, oh, my family's got so much potential. But if I wait around for that, I'm still going to be stuck in that role they put me in. I'm still going to be in that toxic energy and I'm not going to be able to heal. Priorities. Well, I think it's about prioritizing yourself, isn't it? If we go back to the first card, do it for you. Priorities. Well, there's lots of little doggies showing up today. There's a little Dalmatian there, I think. It says, the quality of your life is determined by how you spend your time. Make sure your schedule reflects the life you want. Yeah, so have a look at your schedule and think, does this reflect the life I want? What is in there that is bringing me joy, that lights me up, that nourishes my soul, that's good for me? What is in there that is toxic, that is heavy, that should really be a no? But all the crossings out. No, don't do that. No, I'm not doing that. No, I don't want to do that anymore. How many of you say yes to things and do things out of obligation because you feel like you have to, or because you're worried about how the other person's going to feel. You're worried about hurting their feelings. On the bottom of the deck here, we've got reassess. You have the right to change your mind. See, that goes back to that card again. I mean, it doesn't have to be a total cut-off, does it? You could just say to them, oh, I need a bit of space and a bit of time out. I'm in therapy, got stuff going on, and I just need, you know, I'll get back in touch again when I am feeling a bit better. But don't worry about me. I'm fine. I can take care of myself. The problem with a really toxic family is they won't let you do that. So if you've got like an engulfing mother or father that insists they know exactly what you're doing and where you're at and what's going on, and they can't leave you alone and they need to know everything, then you're going to struggle with that, which is why I think we've got this card where we need to create some space there. Just like when you going to uni or going off on your travels with your year out. Do they call it a year out? Your gap year. Just going on a gap year. I just need to go and find myself. And they probably won't like it, and they'll probably talk about you behind your back, and they'll all be whispering and saying, what's going on with Lisa? Why is she acting like a weirdo? We always thought she was a bit crazy. But you're not. And let them chat shit about you, because it's not true. As long as you know it's not true, that's the only thing that matters. So just to recap, follow me on Substack. I'll put the link below. Sign up to become a member if you'd like to learn more about estrangement and follow my journey. If you'd like to book a reading with me, I am still doing private readings. I'll put a link in below for that. You get a 30-minute recorded reading, and I will tune into your energy, and you can ask me questions. I don't read on health, and I don't read on questions. So should I divorce my family, yes or no? I won't answer those questions. I will just talk through what the cards, like we've done today. I will story tell with the cards, and we'll be guided by their energy. Yes. And if you'd like to work with me one-to-one, if you're ready to take the next step and you feel like you want to go deeper into your healing, I have a package, a 3-month mentoring package called Right to Heal, and it is using journaling and all of my lovely inner child techniques to help you heal. And if you're not in the budget for the 3-month mentoring program, can I recommend that you read my book, Stuck Between Two Worlds? Lots of the techniques and exercises are in this book, but it's told in the form of a story about a 10-year-old girl who goes off to the wilderness to find herself. That's her gap year. And people that read it, even though it is written for children, find it incredibly validating, and they find that their inner child is seen and heard, and it puts into words that sort of ambient emotional abuse that you probably didn't have the words for growing up, and it helps to make sense of everything. So I hope that helps today. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like so that other people that are struggling with their families will get to see this video in their newsfeed. And drop me a heart in the comments below if you got to the bottom or the end of this video. And I'll see you again next time. All right, thanks. Bye for now.